Have you ever jumped on the latest trending diet to find yourself gaining all the weight back and then some once to end it? I know that feeling so well. Today, I'm sharing the turning point that helped me stop chasing quick fixes and finally discover what it means to eat for healing, thriving, and for lasting change. Welcome back to the Inspired Well Minded podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Denise, your wellness mindset and resilience coach. Today, I'm sharing a personal journey that so many of us can relate to help us break free of restricted eating and rediscovering the balance, nutritional balance, and embracing the mindset that's about healing and not about deprivation. So, if you've ever felt frustrated by the dieting cycle or just wanted a better way, then this is for you. You're in the right place. All right. So, most diets, as you probably know, only address the surface, right? These quick fixes, the calorie counts and the food lists of what to eat, what not to eat, um, later for that. Like we've been there, we've done that. Now we want something different. What they don't teach you in those quick fixes is how to maintain a healthy, balanced, and realistic approach to eating for long term, eating to sustain your life, right? By focusing on building a healthier lifestyle or choosing quality foods and improving your relationship with food, which is also very, very important. So we can finally break free of the yo-yo diets. So, Sister Leader, how many times have you tried a new diet only to end up feeling frustrated and defeated when it was over? If you've even completed it. You start off strong, you're cutting back on certain foods, you're following all the rules, you think you're doing everything right. But as soon as that program ends, you find yourself slipping back into old habits and the weight returning with a vengeance. It may bring 5, 10, 15 pounds back with it, right? So it's as if the weight says, hey, we're better with friends. And we don't like that because when we regain the weight, what has been true for me is we gain it in parts of our bodies that we really don't even want it. Hello, the waistline. And we already know that when we have excess weight around the waistline, it leaves us feeling discouraged and it really weighs on us and the efforts that we're making to be our healthy selves. It also leaves us feeling as if we'll never get ahead. Like the pursuit of being our best self that we're searching for is so far off. It's almost like an unrealistic goal. And yes, that weighs on your confidence. But unfortunately, it also plays a huge part on how you talk to yourself when you look in the mirror. And I've heard how some of us talk to ourselves when we look in the mirror. So I've made those same mistakes when trying to lose weight. I've tried diets, I've tried diet pills, I've tried fat burners, and they've even left me feeling jittery and uneasy. And that does not feel good at all. Okay. And I admit every time that I followed one of those quick weight loss plans, I did lose some weight. Yes, I did. Right. But the moment that that plan ended and I returned to my normal eating, the weight came back with a vengeance. Right. And often brought about 10 to 15 pounds more with it. That is so discouraging. Oh my gosh. It's like you discipline yourself to achieve this goal, thinking that, oh, wow, I've won. Only to realize, as soon as you stop the plan, then it's going to come back. That doesn't feel good at all. It's very disheartening, very discouraging. And I remember those times of feeling that and questioning if something was wrong with me. Why was it so difficult for me to lose weight? It was frustrating, to be honest. And yes, it even weighed on my confidence as well. I'm not exempt. The knowledge that I have now was not what I had then when I was starting. I was just like everybody else. I knew just enough to lose just enough, but not enough to keep it on. And that definitely took a toll on my confidence. So I started to see that these approaches, these quick fixes, right? These fast weight loss diets that were out there, those were not the answers. None of those taught me how to eat the right foods to sustain a healthy lifestyle. They were just temporary fixes that led to long-term disappointment and repeated failures. And I don't know about you, but if you're like me, I'm pretty sure that you don't see yourself as a failure, and we definitely don't like feeling like a failure when it comes to taking care of ourselves. So yes, I'm guilty too of falling into that same trap. But I'm here to tell you that it's a work in progress. I know it's disheartening. I know it's frustrating. I know it's easy to question why bother, right? I know what that feels like. But we can break free of that vicious yo-yo diet cycle. So I want to share what finally changed for me, how I took a hold of the process for myself, um, and what shifted for me. And hopefully, by me sharing this, will also help you make the necessary changes in your life so you can finally feel like you're getting ahead. Right? Number one was the food that I was eating. I had to start looking at the food. So what changed for me came after I had a doctor's visit. And this was the first time I had ever had a visit with a doctor who was able to knowingly had a visit with a doctor who was able to read me from the door. I mean, as soon as she laid eyes on me, she was able to say X, Y, and Z. She was um, she was a different kind of doctor. She had Eastern and Western knowledge, I would say that. And she was able to I don't know, it was something special about her. It was like she was reading my aura. She was able to sense the energy. She knew that the pain that I was struggling with was more than just joint chronic pain. It was other things, and so she started asking me about my food. Now, my other doctors, yeah, they cover the regular general stuff when you go to you visit with them, but this particular doctor actually took more time with me. And this was my first time. Actually, she was an acupuncturist as well. That was one of the services that she provided. And I was seeing her for acupuncture. And I'm telling you, oh my gosh, it was one of the best decisions I've made. But she had asked me, because dealing with chronic pain at the level in which I do as a disabled veteran, there can be very excruciating days. And she had asked me about what do I do when I'm in pain. And so I shared with her my habit, what I typically do. And she asked me to cut back on what I was doing and to read those labels. So she encouraged me to really start looking at what I thought was healthy. Now, this particular product that I was eating, 2 and 3 at a time, on the package said healthy, and it said high fiber. Right? So I'm thinking I'm doing myself some justice. But what she pointed out to me was that was marketing, and that's not how that particular food product was. It wasn't working for me. And what I was doing was medicating myself with food. I was medicating the pain, the chronic pain that I was experiencing in my body with food. And so that was my medicine of choice, because if you take a pill that they prescribe for you, which I was doing that as well, I was still taking the medicine, but the medicine takes time to get into your system, right? So you're looking at 45 minutes or more for it to be effective. So I started medicating with food, and she helped me realize that was a unhealthy habit, especially with what I was eating. And so she challenged me to really reconsider my choices, and I did that. And once I started looking at the labels and really thinking about how I respond to the pain, that's when I realized I had to shift my mindset. because the pain is going to come, it's going to go, or it will lessen, it will increase. But I had to shift my mindset because I already thought that I was doing the right things. And had she not pointed out to me, I would have continued in that way. And only God knows where I would end up, you know, if I'd continued in that unhealthy path because the box said healthy, right? So I stopped focusing on diets and I started eating, I started focusing on eating properly, eating to heal my body, eating to nourish my mind. So it took me a while. It didn't happen overnight. I will be very honest about that. It did not happen overnight, and I'm not going to sit here and make you think that it's another quick fix situation, because that's just not how it worked. You didn't get overweight overnight. You didn't become unhealthy overnight. You didn't develop the lifestyle challenges that you deal with, mind and body, overnight. These things happen over time. And so I had to realize that where I was in my life at that time where I started, that I needed to shift my mindset. Because if I ate the way I did when I was 17, oh my goodness, right? I was an athlete in my younger years. If I ate the way I did when I was 20, oh my goodness, right? I was still an athlete, but I was also in the military. So I've lived a life where we had to maintain a certain weight and professional image, and that required being mentally and physically sharp for me, right? So it did take a while for me to make the shift, because sometimes we live on we live according to who we used to be, instead of paying attention to who we are now and where we are now in life. And I can't eat the foods and be as free and open with food as I did back then, right? I'm not hurt anymore. I'm not living at that level of activity and athleticism. You know, I've had a baby since then. I've been married and divorced since then. Life has happened since then. I've continued to mature and to age, hopefully gracefully, since then. And so we have to change as we grow. And so that is why it's so important to change your mindset, because we do change. Physically, mentally is a choice, but physically we do have to change. All right. So it took me a while to get there because, be honest, I had to figure it out on my own. When that doctor had mentioned me to really look at what I was eating, what I was self-medicating my pain with, the chronic pain, that's when it opened my eyes of how good food marketing industry is. Okay. I was actually harming myself rather than, now I was feeling a little bit better because I was eating foods that make me feel better, you know, comfort foods. Only it wasn't a traditional comfort food because, like I said, the box said healthy on it. But it wasn't good for me. And she pointed that out to me, among other things, during that visit, which I thought was amazing. Right? And so I realized that it was about changing my habits. I want you to understand it's about changing your habits. And one of the biggest mistakes that we often make is trying to change a habit without shifting our mindset. And that's what keeps us in the vicious cycle of starting a process, ending the process, feeling frustrated, starting another diet, ending the diet, feeling frustrated, starting another regimen. If we continue on the regimen, if you give up, you like, oh, well, it never worked anyway. If you continue and it becomes a continued vicious cycle, you don't understand why it's not working for you, or maybe you kept the weight off for a month and then something came up or life happened, or you just stopped being present and conscious about what you were doing and you started returning to normal eating habits, then hey, the weight comes back and then some. So you have to start with mindset. And that's how we change habits. That's how we change bad habits. Because we all claim to know what to do, but we're not changing our minds. We're not changing how we're thinking about what we're doing. And this is where it starts. Okay? connecting our thinking, our hearts, our motivations with our values to be healthy. We can't control what we pick up from the environment when we go out, but we can control what we put in here. Every fork rep matters, but it has to start with your mind. And that is a mistake that so many people make when trying to make healthy lifestyle shifts. And then what they say, oh, it's too hard. And so usually what they do is they start thinking about all the things they can't have. And what I chose to do differently on my journeys, I literally took a step back and said, okay, because I was there. I was also the one thinking about, oh, well, I can't have this and I can't have that. No, I can't do this because of that, right? But instead of thinking about it that way, ask yourself the same thing I did. What can I eat? Where can I find it? I started considering the foods that I could eat. You can start considering what you can eat. That gets you out of that restrictive way of thinking about being healthy and already feeling defeated in your mind because all you're thinking about what you can't. And we hate deprivation. So start thinking about it in terms of what you really can do. Start thinking about the foods that will make you feel good. I started thinking about the foods that will make me feel good and not drained. Real whole foods. Cutting back on processed foods that disrupt my hormones and drain my energy. It took time to learn about the ingredients of these so-called healthy foods for me. No one taught me how to read labels. I had to figure it out. And through me constantly being a life learner and getting all these certifications I now have under my belt, okay, even including being a macronutrition coach, I went and pursued those because I wanted to be able to help myself and know how to help myself. So it's an ongoing process. And then I started getting committed to removing all the temptation from my house. If it was in my pantry, I had to get rid of it. Now, I'm going to keep it real. Okay? Because that's what my purpose here is, to share my stories, to share stories and be as transparent, as honest as possible. Sometimes getting rid of those foods out of the pantry was me eating them and not bringing them back in. So I don't want you to think that, oh, Dr. Denise is so disciplined. Oh my gosh, that she was able to clean out her pantry and throw the food away. No, especially if it was a cookie. I ate them damn cookies. Okay. I was a notorious cookie monster. Right? So the whole idea of throwing a cookie in the trash at that time was a sin to me. So it just didn't make sense. So I ate the cookie and just didn't bring them back in the house. And so I started that process of eliminating the temptation. Now, I do not recommend eating all the unhealthy food in your pantry. Get rid of the junk food, however you're going to get rid of the junk food. I don't recommend binge eating on them. Okay? We're not here to add insult to injury. All right? So hold yourself accountable here. Now, removing all the unhealthy options from your home is going to be key. It's not going to be easy at first, but it's going to take a conscious effort. And that's why your mindset is so important in this process. It wasn't easy for me. Not at first, but it became easier. Because I always made a conscious effort. When I went grocery shopping, I shopped from a list. I made an effort to shop the perimeter. And sometimes, yes, it was tempted. Yes, I did go down those aisles where the temptation was. Sometimes I did give in. But I made a commitment to myself to not bring it home. So, full transparency again, I would eat it in the car. It never made it to the house. And that I share that with you without feeling shame. Okay, number one. But to share that with you to help you understand the process. I had to start somewhere. And you too just need to start. So the struggle, as they say, was real. Now remember, I went this journey by myself. So over time, I realized that by focusing on eating to heal, because I remember what that medical doctor said to me about what I was medicating, the food I was medicating myself with. I really thought I was eating something healthy. I needed to make sure I was healing to thrive. I was eating to heal and thrive. I no longer I no longer wanted to be caught in the endless dieting cycle that was already challenging for me living with chronic pain. I was already beating myself up because I believed that I should have been disciplined enough, or I have enough discipline because of my background as a female Marine to overcome and face anything head on with ease. Yes, part of that may be brainwashing, but I welcome that because it keeps me disciplined and focused and diligent. Sometimes people say they're going to commit to something and they give up before they even start because they say, oh, it's too hard. Well, I don't have that attitude. I'm probably the most resilient person I know, or at least in the top three. Okay, because I'm always looking for ways I can get something done instead of allowing what I don't know, or the struggle of something new, the stress of learning something new and disciplining myself to hold me back. I'm just not wired that way. Some people think it's because I've been in the military. Some people think it's because I've been in law enforcement. I said, no, it's just personality. That's how I'm born, coupled with making a decision. I often use the analogy that I use the analogy to women that, do you want your man to cheat on you? And of course they'll say no. Then why would you cheat on yourself? Why are you going to let yourself down and disappoint yourself? It may happen, but don't let it be intentional. Okay? And by me being diligent and consistent, even when I got it wrong, my confidence grew. My energy improved. The pain started to not be less excruciating. Okay? And my relationship with food, over time, it really transformed. It got better. And it is still a work in progress. I didn't need another quick fix. What I needed was a sustainable approach that honored my body, honored my mind, and that will allow me to live the life that I truly want to live for myself, to live the life that I envision in my mind. I still think of myself as an athlete, even though I no longer run. So we have to work on the mindset about a thing in order to overcome the old programming that we hold about food, that we hold about dieting, that we hold about weight loss, that we hold about the self that we look in the mirror. There is no going back to who you used to be. There's only being the best version of yourself now and walking in the potential and living that out from where you are today. It's a decision. You have to start the progress with making a firm decision. So if you're saying to yourself, I want to make a healthy lifestyle shift. I've been thinking about it, been wanting to do it. I don't know quite hard. Well, let me give you a simple place to start. Start by cutting back on sugar. Now, sugar, I choose sugar because of all the medical research and that's out there about the impact of sugar on our health, right? We know that it wreaks havoc on our health. So, I want you to realize that sugar is in so many of the food products that we eat. And sugar is hidden in things that you probably don't even realize they're hidden in. The first time that I really started to understand how we're consuming so much sugar was when I started the HCG diet so many years ago. I did the HCG diet. I was in my 30s, and I was so tired of doing all the fad diets that didn't work. I probably researched the HCG diet about 6 months before I started to say, okay, let's do it. Okay. And I did that, and I followed the protocol to the letter. And one of the things was, of course, you couldn't eat processed foods. You had to eliminate sugar. So I had to find out where the sugar was, right? It was more than cutting out pastries and cookies and cakes and pies and ice cream. That's obvious, right? I had to cut out the chocolate, cut out the candies. That's obvious. But what I realized during that time was how much sugar is actually hidden in the spices that we cook with. You go to the store. In fact, I encourage you to look into your spice cabinet and look at the seasons. Look at your favorite seasons and your season blends. Turn it over and look at the back and see how much sugar is actually on the ingredients. And look at not just how much sugar or high fructose corn syrup is there, but look at where it is on the label. If it's at the beginning of the ingredients, that means it's mostly sugar. If it's at the end, okay, there's less sugar in it. But you don't want to be seasoning your food and adding a whole bunch of sugar to something and you're trying to be healthy. So the key is, and part of changing our mindset is being aware of where the sugar is, thinking about it ahead of time, and then making healthier options. There are other options that are accessible to us if we take the time to figure out how we can achieve good tasting food without harming ourselves. Okay? So look at your spices. If you drink alcohol, that's actually sugar. You know? So it's in so many of the things that we do, that we call ourselves enjoying life and living, that your lifestyle may be harming you. And maybe it's time to reevaluate that. But cutting back sugar is a simple, easy way to start. I probably shouldn't say easy, but it is a simple place to start. Okay, the food you eat. The other place that sugar is often hidden in is in your condiments. I used to be a ketchup lover, and when I started to return to an improved way of normal eating, I started reading the labels on everything. Because remember, the diet had me reading labels. The doctor had me reading. My acupuncturist had me reading labels just to inform myself. She didn't tell me it wasn't good. She said, read the labels, right? And she brought my attention to the sodium and the sugar and what have you, and why she didn't deem it as healthy. But she left it up to me, right? Because she was very well aware that you can tell a patient what to do, but they're going to believe what they're going to believe unless they educate themselves. So there has to be some type of buy-in. And I say that to you because you have to have some type of buy-in if this is really going to work for you, and you're going to make the healthy shift that you say you want to be a better version of yourself, that you say you want to look good and feel good in your body, that you say you want to become a well-minded woman and leader. Okay, so there has to be some buy-in, and that buy-in is doing some research. You don't have to dig real deep to find the truth about how sugar impacts your health in your body. But sugar is also in the condiments. Ketchup and mustard was like my favorite condiment back then. And so once I started reading the label, oh my goodness, I have not had ketchup another day since I read the label so many years ago and realized that the number one ingredient at that time was high fructose corn syrup. I don't know what it is today because I don't even pick it up off the shelf. You'd have to go and look at it yourself. Or whatever your favorite condiment is, look to see how much sugar in it. Look to see what the ingredients are so you know what you're putting into your body. The other thing that I realized that was, I'm going to say laced with high fructose corn syrup was pickles. There was a pickle that I used to eat back then. I don't recall what they were, but they were sweet pickles. They were the little ones and they were sweet. And I would go to the, I remember going to the store and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna make healthier selections. I'm gonna start eating pickles, and that was gonna replace my chocolate. So I got these pickles, and I came home and I started snacking on the pickles. And before I knew it, the jar was gone. And I said, "Oh my gosh, that was so good." So I got back in my car, went back to the store. I was standing in front of the shelf where they were, and I had one already in my hand. I had two in my arm, okay, cradle in my arm, and I had one in my hand because now I'm going to go home with enough that I don't have to come back out and get more pickles. And something said, "Read the label." Mind you, I'd already been to that store earlier that day and finished the pickles at home that same day. So I said, okay. I heard the voice that inner voice say, "Read the label." I turn over the label to read the ingredients. After all, it's just pickles, right? The number one ingredient of those particular pickles, to my surprise, that really shifted how I look at condiments to this very day, was high fructose corn syrup. I put every single jar I had in my arm back on the shelf, and I have not picked up pickles since. Now, that is not all pickles. Okay? So read the labels. This was a particular brand and type of pickle. High fructose corn syrup, though? And I thought to myself, no wonder I consumed the entire jar. And had the audacity to leave my house to go back to the store to buy 3 more. Thank goodness that small, still voice inside of me said, "Read the label." And so I did. And there it was. I put them back, made an instant decision to never buy them again, and to always make label reading a habit. That was the start with sugar. Okay. And it is known that diabetes is something that people in my family struggle with. I don't want to be a diabetic, especially if I can discipline myself and improve the way I eat to prevent that from happening. And this over time got me from trying to live a weight loss, took me from a weight loss journey to being fit to a wellness lifestyle. Because you can look strong and you can lift weights and do all those things and still be unhealthy, right? Based on what you consume. I don't want to be strong fat. I want to be strong and fit and healthy and flexible and functionable so I can enjoy life. And that has to do with what we put into our mouths. And so reducing sugar consumption will require such a personal level commitment, a deep personal level of commitment, because sugar can have a hold on you that is like an addiction you don't even realize that you have. Okay? So start looking at what you already have in your cabinet and eliminate it. This very day, I am proud to say I can throw a cookie in the trash can. I can read labels of things that may happen to come into my home, into my pantry. Maybe I see something interesting and forgot to read the label at the store. If it's a product I'm gonna use like soon after purchasing it, and I read the label and realize, oh, this wasn't a good choice, because I end up buying a lot of gourmet stuff as well. And so sometimes I won't read the label in the store because the front part of the label, resonates with me, right? It's like, oh yeah, I use this. Oh yeah, it has lemongrass, and oh yeah, I'll use this, right? Not realizing that, oh, if I read the ingredients in the store, that I would have realized to leave that on the shelf. So sometimes I realize that I've bought something that looked like it would be really good to try. I'll have it in my pantry for a while, and maybe months later I'll go to use it. And I'll read the label before I put it in my food, because I'm looking for sugar and I'm looking for sodium. I would throw it in the trash. If I can't return it, I'll throw it in the trash because it's just not something I'm willing to put in my body. So that's the level of deep commitment that this will take, that's it's going to take from you. But I encourage you to read the label while you're in the store, so it's not money going in the trash can. Okay, I'm committed to my health, and this is a part of the process. Is what you put in, changing your mind to change your habits to improve your lifestyle. And so the next step is pretty simple. So the first one was eliminate and reduce sugar intake, right? Find out where it is, reduce the sugar that you're consuming in your diet that you may not even realize is there. All right, that's number one. Number two is drink more water. Oftentimes, what we think when we think that we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. Our body's thirsty. It's dehydrated. It needs more fluids. It needs more water. Let me be more specific, right? Because you can drink a pop or a soda pop and think that, oh, well, I'm hydrating myself. And while, yes, that does have some water in it, that's not what your body needs. Your body really needs water. And I've heard people saying, well, I can't drink plain water. Okay, put lemon in it if you have to consume it, but get yourself some water, right? Your body needs it. Our brain needs it. Okay, that's part of proper nutrients. Our bodies, we're made up of majority water anyway. So drink water before you eat, because every time you think you're hungry, it could be sometimes when you think you're hungry, not every time, but sometimes when you think you're hungry, it could very well be that you need to be hydrated. All right. And knowing the difference between hunger and thirst can make a huge difference. So what are some signs of thirst and what are some signs of being hungry? All right. Some signs of being thirsty is feeling dry mouth, right? And so that means drink water. It could be a headache, drink more water. It could be dry eyes or a burning sensation, drink more water. Some people have said that feeling fatigue can be a sign of thirst. I don't know that I felt that, but drink more water, right? You cannot, there's nothing wrong with drinking more water over time, right? Of course, you don't want to drown yourself by drinking too much at once, but I'm talking in moderation, right? So I want to say that because I don't want someone to hear this and see this and say, well, she said drink more water, so I'm just going to drink a half gallon at one time. No. Okay, let's be real here. But drink water throughout the day to stay hydrated. Drink water before you pick up that soda. Drink water before you pick up the wine. Because some people drink a bottle of wine or half a bottle of wine a day. Oh, and I'm hydrated. How much water did you drink? One bottle. Throughout the whole day, you drank one 16-ounce bottle of water? That's it? But you drank a half bottle of wine? Now, if that's your habit, I'm not picking on you, but come on, right? That's not promoting health here. So the other thing would be feeling lightheaded when you're thirsty or dehydrated. When I was in law enforcement during the summer, some of the calls, majority of the calls during the summer, the warmer months was for ambulance. Some of the emergency health calls that I responded to and had to call the ambulance was because someone passed out because they were dehydrated. Okay. Or they didn't feel good and they collapsed because they were dehydrated. And when I would ask the person, well, did you have anything to drink or, did you eat anything that day? They would say, yes, I drank some type of soda or some type of tea or something that they had, right? That had sugar in it or some type of sweet beverage. And I said, well, when's the last time you have water? Oh, I haven't. I just drank this. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And it's so hot outside in the summer times that you get dehydrated because that's not enough for your body. And majority of the times when I had to call the ambulance was because a person was dehydrated. And how do I know that? Not just because of what the person said, but when the ambulance would arrive, that's what it was. They would confirm, oh, the person's dehydrated. So, when I'm writing my report, I have to put in there what the nature of that call was. And so many people walk around dehydrated thinking that they can get They can get away with drinking their sweet teas, their sodas, and their alcohol, and they can just ignore water. Okay, so drink more water. That's the second thing that you can do. Now, what is the signs of hunger? We all know stomach cramp, stomach contractions, right? A stomach start feeling a certain way, or you know that you're feeling tired. I know that when I get hungry, that sometimes I feel real tired. I don't always think of that first thing, but I realize, oh, I haven't eaten, so I'm exhausted. As soon as I'll eat a healthy meal that consists of real food, my energy just soars out the roof. And I've experienced that, right? Sometimes I fall into getting my exercise in, running errands so I can get to the office and do what I need to do, and I forgot to eat. And then I feel wiped out and I'm like, oh, I didn't eat. Let me eat. Energy is soaring at this point, right? I'm feeling vibrant and I'm feeling alive again. So if you're feeling tired throughout the day, ask yourself, did you eat? And what did you eat? Because we already know that food can rob you of your energy if you don't put the right foods in your system. If you're having trouble focusing, did you eat? Right? Those are signs of hunger or feeling shaky a little bit, right? A little weird within your body. Those are signs your body says, hey, I need some nutrients. And so you don't want to just put any kind of food in there. You want to put quality nutrients, quality food, quality calories in your system. All right. So the key is to get started and to get started now. I want you to make one small shift today, whether it's drinking an extra bottle of water, cutting back on those other beverage choices, whatever it is. Just start today. Drink an additional 1 or 2 bottles of water. Choose a healthy snack and remove those sugary options from your routine. Get them out of your house. Make a commitment to go through your pantry and your spice cabinet and read the labels. Because oftentimes, if you say, Dr. Denise, I eat pretty healthy, like I have heard from clients before, right? And we do a pantry audit. They realize the condiments that they love so much is the very thing that's taking the health out of what they're eating. Okay? So each step forward will bring you closer to a healthier you. Will bring you closer to a better version of yourself because of what you're putting into your mouth. And just remember, it is about making progress. So just be in the process every day. Don't beat yourself up if you fall off track one meal or you had a snack. Don't be in your head saying, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, well, I might as well give up now. No, stay in progress. Stay in the process. Okay? And progress will take care of itself. You are supposed to enjoy life. Eating healthy is not supposed to be burdensome. And that again comes down to mindset. Changing how we look at food and how we use food in today's life. All right. So, Sister Leader, if this resonates with you, I really want to know your thoughts. Are you willing to make the mindset shifts? Are you ready to improve your relationship with food and start feeling stronger and more confident in your body and about yourself? If you are, then I want to invite you to join our free 30-day Walk to Wellness Challenge. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And so I'm inviting you to the process so you can make progress. And that process is starting with a 30-day Walk to Wellness Challenge. Together, we'll focus on simple steps that make a lasting impact. You got to start moving your body because the right diet, the right foods, coupled with movement, exercise, I recommend people start with walking, right? We all do it. It's the easiest way to start. Diet and exercise work together. Because you can have a good exercise regimen and a bad diet. The exercise is good, but the food is what's nourishing your body and your mind. If you're putting the wrong fuel in, then yeah, you may think you're getting by, but there can be better. That's not a healthy way of going about it. You want to start with a healthy diet. I wish someone had told me this many years ago when I started on my journey, because exercise was number one on my list, and it took me years of failing and repeating this vicious cycle to realize, girl, you got to change what you're eating. Okay? So when you join, you'll be a part of a growing community of women just like you. We're all striving for a healthier, thriving life. Okay? And that's why I do what I do, to build a community of women where we can support each other and be honest about our struggles, so we can support you, to be honest about our wins so we can celebrate you. This is not about judging and beating you up, but to support and to celebrate, and accountability. All right? So we can walk this journey together, supporting each other and creating habits that align with our values and the life that we want to live. So I'll leave the link to the challenge, the 30-day walk to wellness challenge, in the description. And let's start this journey together and making wellness a lifestyle that we love. Okay, so you don't have to go it alone. You're not alone. I'm here for you. So, Sister Leader, I want to encourage you to really picture this. Waking up in the morning, preparing for your day, feeling energetic, powering through your day with a renewed sense of energy in your body. Imagine being mentally sharp and focused throughout the day, because you have given your body what it needs, and you have let go of the unprocessed foods that disrupt your hormones and drain you of energy. Imagine making that shift for yourself, because you're worthy, because you deserve it. Okay? Imagine just sitting down to a meal that not only tastes good, but is also good for you. It supports your health. It boosts your confidence and strengthens you for a long life of well-being. Now, we all like compliments. And we know when we're feeling good about ourselves, that's one thing. But just envision that day where you walk into your office, or you're out and about with your friends having a good time, and they say, "Oh, you look happy. Girl, you are vibrant. Girl, you're glowing." Or, "Girl, you look amazing." Who doesn't want to hear those compliments? Who can't appreciate those compliments, right? We want to hear that the changes that we made within our minds and the changes that we make with what we're putting in our bodies is radiating on the outside. And so those compliments mean so much because it's showing up, right? But it starts in the inside, how you think and what you feed yourself. So you don't have to worry about staying on track to some quick fix diet and all the disappointments that come thereafter, right? We already know that the weight loss industry is good at feeding us promises, and we already know that the way that foods are marketed and packaged, we already know it speaks to us in a way that can cause us to feel hungry and want to try it. We know that the marketing works, right? But you want to step into living the wellness way that feels authentic, energizing, and fulfilling for you. But you have to figure that out for yourself. What does that mean for you? All right. The wellness way for me has been a process, and that's just the way that I live. That's why I'm a well-minded woman. Okay. So it all begins with making that choice today for yourself. So are you committed? Are you committed to giving yourself the nurture that you deserve? Because if you are, and you're really ready to stop making those excuses, and you're saying, "I'm going to do this one step at a time, one day at a time," then I'm honored to walk this journey with you. And so I want you to share your biggest takeaways in the comment. I want to hear from you and know what resonated with you today. Because as we continue to start choosing healthier foods and start nurturing our bodies so we can heal and we can energize ourselves, which is what we want to do, we'll be doing this together. And in so doing, we'll also be soaring higher together. So until next time, Sister Leader, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.